Debris rained down on Nacogdoches County. 800 pieces have been confirmed so far. Residents have been finding debris everywhere, and many people reported hearing a loud boom before the pieces began falling.
And we heard it rumble, and the windows started shattering, and I thought it was an earthquake or something.
This large piece fell right in the middle of town square, and many people say debris kept falling around town for quite some time.
We passed places that didn't have pieces and come back by, and then there were pieces there in National Guard.
The National Guard and law enforcement around the state have been called in to guard the pieces.
If it is a significant piece of the shuttle, we are leaving law enforcement personnel on that site to maintain that site until we're being told to release them.
Officials are using GPS coordinates to map out the debris field. They say it may help determine what happened.
And they're very much interested in the distribution of the debris. It'll tell them a lot about what happened. Secondly, and I think very important, is there's so much out there that knowing where they are is going to be a critical thing to their recovery.
Officials are requesting federal aid because it may take days to collect the debris, and some of it has to be safeguarded 24 hours a day.
If they want the site secured longer than Monday, then we are definitely going to need some help from the federal government.
Officials fear this is only the beginning. They believe pieces will be found for days, weeks, or maybe even months to come. Nacogdoches County is receiving hundreds of phone calls from residents finding pieces of debris. Emergency crews have to check out every call, and if debris is found, they have to mark it and guard it.
Once a National Guard member goes out to a site in the county and they have actually isolated that site and marked it off, NASA has asked us to do a 100-meter search around that particular site to identify if there is any other debris.
Most of the pieces they are finding are very small, but attracting a lot of attention. Residents stopped to take a picture of this piece that was found in the middle of Main Street.
When I saw it, I told my wife, I said, that's a piece of the shuttle there. And she got out and came over here, and sure enough, that's what it is.
Many people in this small community heard a loud noise around the time Columbia apparently broke apart.
We heard the big, huge sonic boom, and it shook our whole windows of our dorm, and we got up shortly after that.
And it scared you, or what? How'd you?
Yes, we were terrified this morning.
Authorities say they have no reports of injuries, but first responders are so busy with marking debris that the county has asked for 100 DPS troopers and military police from Fort Pope to come help preserve the evidence.
Their major concern is obviously in regards to the astronauts themselves, and the second one is any debris that may be from the control module.
It will be some time before all of this debris can be picked up by NASA. Until then, people are asked to leave it alone.
I'm going to try to stay on it as much as I can here. Try to get our tower. Should be able to get our tower. Is it gone?
Federal officials believe the debris field may cover as much as 500 square miles. Federal, state, and local authorities are trying to identify thousands of pieces of Columbia. This section landed in downtown Nacogdoches. There is debris on the local highways and in the fields and pastures of deep East Texas.
What are you trying to do, Terry?
I'm just watching it, make sure nobody touches it, nobody runs off with it.
Why is it important for people not to touch it?
It's contaminated, could be contaminated.
Adrian and Dixie Nichols and their baby Aiden were awakened by what they thought was the sound of thunder. They soon realized debris was falling from Columbia. It landed in their yard and on top of their house.
Pieces all over the pasture and in the yard, everywhere.
Just all kind of boxes and just stuff falling, you know, just all kind of debris.
Angela and Michael Beal from Natchez were shocked by the explosion, which littered debris all over town.
Our whole house began to shake. We have an iron railing around our bed. Literally had to hang on to the bed not to be shook out. I lived in California, and the first thing I thought is, this is an earthquake. And then I thought, well, this can't be an earthquake. Heard 3 consecutive booms. It sounded like somebody was hitting our house with a sledgehammer.
As the gravity of the day fell upon Nacogdoches, people brought wreaths and flowers for the victims.
It's just a reminder to all of us that life is very important and that we shouldn't take it for granted. We should live every day to the fullest.
This 4-foot by 4-foot section of charred metal fell directly into the median of a busy Highway 155 north of Palestine. Danny Mays is just one of hundreds of area residents who come to see for themselves what many still cannot comprehend, beginning with the thunderous explosion at 8 a.m.
It just kept rolling, it just kept rolling, that thunder. My first thought, I'm not gonna lie, was that, man, I hope Dallas or something hadn't been hit by a nuclear weapon. That's exactly what I thought.
Still, tragedy had struck, the reality of it raining down from a deceivingly clear sky. Cindy Mosley heard crashing debris falling in the woods behind her house.
We looked primarily on the back part of our property. We didn't really think it was that close to our home, and find it right next to our home.
When we first came by here a while ago, we saw somebody walking around here. Then we went down, there's a couple of tiles down the road down there, small ones.
Throughout Anderson County, stretching far to the east, debris of all sizes. At a schoolyard in Natchez, in pastures, everywhere. Authorities admit they are woefully understaffed to identify and segregate it all.
We know that it is a very rural, rugged terrain in many circumstances, possibly falling into a national forest. The military has been activated.
The debris is mostly small, the task at hand overwhelming. Not to mention the job of coming to terms with another national tragedy, one piece at a time.
We felt, the explosion, and a piece came out of the sky, and it went through the trees, and it's still up there. It's a piece about this long, about this wide. And of course, we all got out and we touched it. Some of us did, but we didn't know it was a shuttle.
I'm just watching it, make sure nobody touches it, nobody runs off with it.
Why is it important for people not to touch it?
It's contaminated, could be contaminated.
Okay, so what are the warnings you've been given?
Not to touch it, and if I do, go to the hospital. If anybody else touches it, go to the hospital.
Okay, and so far people are staying away.
Right, nobody's touched it.
Tell us what you heard and what you saw.
Well, this morning we was laying in bed and we heard a big boom. It was like a rattling sound.
I'm sorry, describe it again.
It was a pretty big boom, rattling sound. It lasted about 3 or 4 seconds.
The windows were rattling. So I said, what is that? He said, I don't know. I said, it sounded like thunder. He said, no, that wasn't thunder.
It wasn't normal. Well, she thought it was the wind or something. It wasn't the wind, that's for sure.
And then you came outside and started noticing the debris?
Well, what made us come outside, we saw a DPS officer swing in front of the yard, and we jumped up and kind of was wondering what was on.
Okay, and then you started looking around, and what did you start finding?
Pieces all over the pasture and in the yard, everywhere.
Just all kind of boxes and just stuff falling, just all kind of debris.
Yeah. Okay, what?
I just didn't know what to think.
This is the normal phase of reentry, what it would normally look like in the daytime. This is as the vehicle is one piece. In a few moments here, it begins to break up. This vapor trail behind it is actually normal. It's the plasma trail generated by the heat. And then right there, it begins to break up. And then right away, right there, the much thicker smoke trail, that's just a bad sign that something's wrong. And there you see multiple parts coming off. And it gets much, much, much brighter. It means more friction because there's more surface.
The second one is
right there. You see rolls in the smoke trails, which mean parts are tumbling that shouldn't be. It's just, that's obviously not a normal reentry.
You know, it's at like this point, we knew it didn't look right. And then as soon as we heard the multiple booms, that's when I went ahead and came back to the house and started trying to find out what had gone wrong.
Especially here as it leaves, and there's not a main body. There's just multiple fragments. That's not a good sign.
The regular Saturday night service at Fellowship Church in Grapevine. But on this night, things are different, calling for a different prayer, a special prayer.
God, we come to you tonight with heavy hearts. When we think about the tragedy that happened this morning, we just pray that your hand and your love is wrapped around the families that lost loved ones this morning. And Lord, I just pray that you help them through this time and that they feel your love like they've never felt before.
This tragedy, this tremendous loss, is weighing heavily on the hearts of all Americans. And the pain seems especially sharp for North Texans. It happened in their backyard, and it carried away people born and raised not far from where they themselves grew up.
It was just a tragedy. I woke up just like everybody else, just expecting a beautiful Saturday, and then to hear the news and to watch it, it just reminded me of 16 years ago when we had the shuttle Challenger explosion, and it's just been a long day as I think about the families and the people who were waiting on those astronauts as they were waiting for them to land.
I ask God to draw them close and comfort them and comfort their families.
For people all across this land, the past year and a half have been unbelievable. A time of great testing, a time of trial, and now this. Each of us deals with it all in our own personal way. Some seek solace and comfort in their religious faith, some in other ways.
I have a 10-year-old, and I feel like her life, I feel like the innocence is gone. I never worried about anything growing up, and just the things that we see on the news, she's been exposed to everything. And I grieve for that.
Are you afraid we might be going into another war?
I am afraid of that. I don't know if we're going to or not, but that's worrisome. Mm-hmm.
In these troubling times, Americans have struggled with the loss and the grief. And now it seems the sadness will be with us for a very long time. Bill Brown, Channel 8 News, Grapevine.
We see your tire pressure messages, and we did not copy your last.
Roger,
They're in Texas now.
Right there.
Columbia out of communications at present with Mission Control as it continues its course toward Florida.
big long yellow streak? Is that why we couldn't see all of it? That's where all those little pieces were behind. The rest of it was so minute we couldn't see it.
Minutes to touchdown for Columbia at the Kennedy Space Center. Flight controllers are continuing to stand by to regain communications with the spacecraft.
Columbia, Houston, comm check.
Space shuttle is now flying over. It's a brilliant ball. I can't get it into focus. Space shuttle flying over, leaving a brilliant. Wow. Oh. I can't believe I missed it because I didn't know how to use the camera properly. Wow. There it goes off into the sunset, leaving this incredible trail across the sky.